All right, so in this lesson what we're going to do is we're going to learn 3 shapes that are going to train your fingers. I like to do a lot of these finger training videos because we get caught up in playing the way that is intuitive to us and the way we want to play, but we want to keep training ourselves so that new stuff that we want to learn also becomes intuitive. So the first shape I'm going to show you sounds like this. The second shape I'm going to show you sounds like this. And the third shape I'm going to show you sounds like this. So we're going to take a close look at all 3 of those shapes, and we're going to do it across 3 octaves. And then you can take these exercises and incorporate them into your playing, but again, by training your fingers to go back and forth and do all kinds of crazy stuff, it's going to help you play better when you're playing things that are unfamiliar to you. It goes back to like the fundamentals of like a football player running drills or a basketball player running drills. The reason they run drills where they're moving in all kinds of weird shapes. I mean, you can run a straight line, you can run around your opponents, but they do all this crazy back and forth, right, in the tires and all that stuff. Or any athlete does things like this where they're training their fast twitch muscles, their muscle memory to be able to do things that most people don't normally do. Like when we walk down the street or even when we go running, what we do is we run in a straight line. We're not constantly hopping over obstacles and doing all kinds of crazy stuff that you have to do when you're an athlete. So athletes train so that their bodies can move in ways that we wouldn't naturally or organically move. So the same thing with your fingers. We're so used to playing in linear movements like 1 3 4 1 3 4 1 3 1 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4 that it gets to the point where when we try to do anything other than that, it finger ties us. And when we get finger tied, we get frustrated because we have a hard time playing. So these exercises are going to frustrate you. You're going to play these things and you'll be like, oh, I can't get it. In fact, as I've been playing around with these shapes, I've been getting frustrated myself because they're kind of hard. But we want to keep putting these kinds of things into our muscle memory so that we get better and better and better and better. So let's go ahead and check out these 3 shapes across 3 octaves, and at the end, tell me what you think. Hey, I got a great new lesson for you. I put out one every single week, but just real quick, I want to remind you that I do have a free course out there. It's over at tinyurl.com/DanH411. It'll help you just pick up this guitar and go and play with ease and confidence and unlock the fretboard in 7 days. It may take you a little bit longer. You might be able to knock it out in 1 or 2 days, but basically it's designed to show you in 7 different chunks how to find the scale shapes, find the anchor shapes, and train your fingers to go back to the fretboard exactly where you want them to go so you can play over any song in any key with ease and confidence. So check out that free course over at tinyurl.com/DanH411, and here we go. All right, you may have noticed my shirt, it says DanH411, and then below that, it's got the eagle, and it says, he may be the most interesting guitar player in the world. It's one of the shirts that's over on my merch store over at Linktree, DanH411, but I got some other ones out there that say just pick up the guitar and go. So if you want to check out my merch, check that out. If you know what this means, let me know in the comments. I'm trying to do some funny, silly stuff. It's not serious, it's a joke, just to let you know that. So the first shape we're going to look at is going to be this one right here. And we're going to run through all of these octaves. And this is probably the toughest one of the 3. So I'm doing these in order of increasing difficulty to least difficulty. And the reason I'm doing that is because by the time you get to the 3rd one, it'll be a little bit easier than the first 2 because you've already done the harder ones first. So we're going to play on the 6th string at 5, 8, 7. And you could just chunk that. We can just play that by itself. And after we play 5, 8, 7, we're going to go to the 5th string and we're going to play the 5. And then on the 6th string we'll play the 8. Then on the 5th string we'll play the 7 and the 5. And then on the 5th string again we're going to play the 8. And that's your whole first part of this. And you can just go ahead and take that by itself and play that over and over and over again. And we're just doing alternate picking as we play that. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then when we go to the second part of that, we end it off on the 8th fret of the 5th string. So we're going to stay on the 5th string, we're going to play 5, 7. And then after we play that, we're going to go to the 6th string and we're going to play the 8. On the 5th string, play the 5. On the 6th string, play the 7 and the 8. And then back to 1 or the first note, which is going to be on your 5th fret. So once again, we got this. And then we end there with a downstroke, so we're just going to keep going. And that's your whole thing. So we're going to take this across 2 octaves. So on the 4th and the 3rd strings, we're going to play the 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10. We're going to play the same shape. So on the 4th string, we're playing the 7, 10, 9. Go to the 3rd string, play the 7. Go back to the 4th string and play the 10. Go to the 3rd string and play the 9, 7. And then the 10. That's your first part. So to finish that one off, we just play the 10 on the 3rd string. So we're going to play the 7 on the 3rd string to the 9. And then on the 4th string, we're going to play the 10. Back to the 3rd string, play the 7. Back to the 4th string, play the 9, the 10, and then back to your first note, which is going to be on your 7th fret. And then start over. And do the same thing on the 2nd and the 1st strings. And this time it's going to be at the 10, the 12, and the 13. So it's the same thing. So you could probably map that one out on your own, but I will put the tab on the screen for you. So that's your first shape. The second shape is going to sound like this. Again, using that same 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4 pattern. And we're going to play like this. And this one really goes back to those fundamentals. Remember, I talked about at the beginning about the football running the drills and going back and forth between the tires, and it trained your fast twitch muscles. Well, this one's going to train the fast twitch muscles in your hand. Because usually we would just play on the 6th string and then go to the 5th string. Something like that, right? Or we're going back and forth, playing in a linear fashion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Simple, right? But now we're going to change it up where I'm going to skip from the 6th string to the 5th string in the middle, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to play this. Did you catch it? Did you see what I did there? I'm playing on the 6th string at 5, 7, 8. Back to the 8, back to the 5. But then when I land the next time with my ring finger, I'm not going to land on the 6th string. I'm going to land on the 5th string at 7, 8, 7, and then go to the 5th string to the 5. And then from here, I'm going to go back to the 6th string with my ring finger. So my ring finger is making the movement instead of my index finger. So the ring finger is going to land on the 7, 8 with my pinky, back to the 7, back to the 5, and then from here, switch back to the 5th string. Do the same thing across the next 2 octaves. So on the 4th and the 3rd strings, we're going to play on the 7, 9, 10. So right there we're playing 7, 9, 10, 9, 7. Go to the 3rd string and play the 9, 10, 9, and then the 7 on the 3rd string. Then back to the 4th string and play that 9, 10, 9, 7. Okay, and then when you get to the second and the first strings, again across the 10th, the 12th, and the 13th, do the same thing. The next one follows a similar pattern, but instead of changing in the middle like this, what we're going to do instead is go back to your root and change from there. Once again, it's that idea of training those fast twitch muscles in your fingers. The more you do this, the more you practice things like this, the easier it is going to be to move your fingers around in ways that you're not used to and that just don't really make sense. But eventually you train your fingers to do what you want them to do. It's very similar to the other one that we did, but it's going to leave a couple notes out. Again, like I said, we're going from increasing difficulty to least difficult, right? The most difficult to the least difficult. So this one's the least difficult of the three. And if you got the other two down pat, then this one should be a breeze for you. So we're going to play on the 6th string, 5, 7, 8. But instead of going backwards in a linear fashion, I'm just going to go back to that first note, which is on the 5. And now I'm going to jump with my ring finger, which we're already used to doing, to the 5th string, where I'm going to play the 7 and the 8. That's all I'm going to play there, right? I'm not going to go back. I'm just going to go, and then I'm going to go back to the 5th string on the 5th fret. And then jump back with my ring finger to the 6th string on the 7th fret, 7, 8, then back to the 6th string on the 5. So this one messes your brain up because you're going from the index to the ring to the pinky, and then instead of going back to the ring and to the index, you're going from the pinky to the index. You're just jumping straight back. You're leaving that note out, which makes it difficult for your brain to comprehend that. But the more you train your brain to understand it, the easier it's going to be for you to play. We'll do the same thing on the 4th and 3rd strings at your 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10, and we'll play that there. So that one right there, we're going to play 7, 9, 10 on your 4th string. Then back to the 7 on your 4th string. Then play the 9, 10 on the 3rd string. Then back to the 7 on the 3rd string. Then play the 9, 10 on the 4th string. Then back to the 7 on the 4th string. And just keep repeating that pattern. And then do the same thing on the 1st and the 2nd strings at your 10, 12, and 13. And the reason we're going across 3 octaves, and you let me know in the comments if this is your experience as well, is because when you master something in one part of the fretboard, it may not be as easy on another part of the fretboard. So not only would we want to play this across 3 octaves, but you'd also want to move this down to the G, move it up to the E, right? Play it in lots of different spots. And then even play it across the 3rd and the 2nd strings, because we know they're tuned a little bit differently. So that's going to make it even more difficult there. So it might be something to play with. But those are your 3 basic shapes to help you work on your muscle memory. All right, thank you for checking this one out. Just to recap, we learned 3 exercises across 3 shapes. Of course, we use the anchor shapes that you find at the very beginning of your minor scale, your natural minor scale. But you also find those anchor shapes in pretty much every single mode, so you can go ahead and train your fingers to play those anchor shapes across 3 octaves. And if you map out the rest of the shapes, it's going to give you 3 different places you can play these things on the fretboard with fidelity. And if you move them around, you can play them over any song in any key. So some great stuff there. It's very musical, but it's also an exercise. So I like to combine the two sometimes so we can have that forearm muscle memory, but then we can also apply this to songs. You can take all 3 of those shapes and apply them to songs if you want to. So in the comments, let me know which was your favorite shape. Which one are you having the most trouble with? Which one is easiest to you? Which one do you like the best? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.